Welcome back, everybody, to the coverage of i51's Razer League of Legends Challenger Cup. I'm Stress, alongside me, Scoundrel, as we have been for the last day now, and we are into our best of threes.
Yeah, here we go, guys. We've got through those pesky best of ones. Now we're into the real big boys games. You've got to win 2 out of 3 to go through, so we could be seeing them stretch to 3 games. We could be seeing some 2-game stomps, but right now we have eNigma up against Rain, and we saw Rain dominate Infused in the last game. How are they going to fare against eNigma? We saw eNigma were really strong with Mancastle on that Rumble earlier on today.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether they'll go for that. We didn't see the champion select for that game, unfortunately, so it's one of those things that we don't know what situation exactly the picks and bans look like to lead them to that Rumble. So it's looks possible. I mean, he picked it in a counter to Rise, is what we assumed, and Rise, as of yet, hasn't been banned out, and we've just seen how Rain did with Rise.
Interesting ban out here from Rain. They banned Twisted Fate against Talanos. Now, Talanos had that open last time, didn't opt to go for it, so maybe Rain knows something that we don't about the champ pool behind Talanos. He did play Xerath, so could be having sort of slightly out of meta champions inside his pool there, so Ziggs and Lee Sin also banned out, Nidalee, Leona and Elise. Now this is the first Elise ban I think we've seen all tournament.
I think it is, and to be honest, we don't see a lot of Elise these days. Elise typically, after the nerfs, really just got taken out of the meta because junglers like Kha'Zix and Evelynn have just become so prominent, and they get locked in, or Kha'Zix gets locked in. They don't pick the Evelynn. I think that's a far more consistent choice here by picking up the Lucian alongside Jax, but those are just two strong picks. And Rise is going to be...
See, we're seeing a lot of similar team comps come out right now, and this is what you get when you get from our top seeds. They will go with the current grain of the meta. You know, LCS teams are pulling out team comps like this, and they're working, so obviously those are the ones that you want to be aiming to emulate. Again, Kha'Zix slipped through the bans phase and has been first pick for eNigma. Kha'Zix has been strong every game that we've seen him. Do you think Rain are going to pay for this? Because Nutri had this last game.
The thing about this setup is we saw how good Gilgamesh was in Kha'Zix, so we know both junglers play Kha'Zix, so really eNigma had to do that. Otherwise, there was no way Rain wouldn't have picked it. So I think whichever team was on purple side was going to be punished by Kha'Zix being left open.
We do have the Graves getting locked in again for Snitch, so very good Graves play, although he did suffer in lane early on. So let's see if he can lane a little bit better, but he didn't die and came into the team fights and picked up some really solid kills and actually ended up getting himself way ahead of the opposing Lucian, I believe it was. So again, this is another Lucian Graves matchup we've got here, and eNigma going for a very sort of similar team comp, and again the Xerath coming out.
Yeah, Rain actually instantly locked in Thresh Orianna, so there was no questions about that. They knew what they wanted. They wanted a consistent mid laner with a very good support. Good for catching, good for laning. Thresh pretty much does everything really well, apart from heal. Doesn't have one of those, but now it's in the summoner abilities and it's useful again. So.
But it looks like Rain are sticking over with that exhaust. We'll see what Slight picks up here. But it could be another double exhaust coming out. Obviously, you probably want that for the Kha'Zix and Rise, and they seem to work so well with it last game. I was talking to Nutri about their last game, and he was saying, well, you know, I think we put Infused out of our comfort zone with that lane swap, out of their comfort zone with that lane swap. We out-rotated them and just ended up winning out from there. So it'll be interesting to see if Infused run with anything that... Sorry, Rain run with anything that's similar to that this game. They really practiced that lane swap and they played it out really well. I don't think many of the other teams in this competition will have gone to the extent to be able to deal with that kind of thing, or maybe not deal with it as comfortably as they would like as a standard sort of meta 1v1, 1v1, 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, outside of our top teams, I think lane swapping is just fairly uncommon, just because it takes a lot of game sense to understand the rotations when lane swapping to make it actually effective, because essentially you put yourself at a disadvantage during a lane swap as well. You have to get the most work done to pay off.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rain go for a lane swap here, because Jax versus Rise, they probably want to starve the Rise out of farm, and to be honest, Morgana does have that black shield to counter the engage from Thresh in that bot lane. I reckon it would be wise for Rain to stick Lucian and Thresh in that top lane, and you know, Lucian Thresh is a fairly decent pushing lane. You know, if Thresh has that ranged auto attack, Lucian can get the double auto attack every time he uses an ability. But they have to be careful because obviously Graves with quick draw can push down very quickly too. So
yeah, and when Morgana's got that tormented soil as well, I mean, it won't be until you're talking level 3 if she wants to take it early, even still then. But if she has tormented soil, that allows them to push a little bit faster. Graves with buckshot clears waves very quickly. I'm not too sure about the lane swap because I also feel like Lucian Thresh is just such a consistent lane that both champions just have so much consistency to them that I don't know whether it's worth doing it. Both options are available and have their pros and cons.
I think we'll see. I think we'll see again when Rain, if they decide to put a deep ward down, because that will indicate whether they want to go for that lane swap. I was talking to Nutri and he was telling me they put that ward down there because then they wanted to know if Infuse were going to counter their lane swap with a lane swap, and then they could just reiterate and put Vayne down in the bot lane instead. They were really opting to try and get that 2v1 lane. Now, you do see in high-level LCS games and the top-of-the-level game, if you have a Rise, you tend to lane swap against him because you want to starve him out of that early farm. There aren't many 1v1 champions that will be able to shut down Rise very early. There's Renekton, but there's not been picked up here. And Jax is not the best champion to shut down Rise early on because he can get locked up when he leap strikes onto him. And Jax isn't, you know, the tankiest and has no real early sustain either. So, again, there could be a lane swap coming out here. But again, we'll have to see. But then eNigma may counter it because they may realise, and they may even try to lane swap themselves and try and starve Jax out of farm. You know, it's some mind games that can be played here. But then again, Morgana and Graves are a good lane swap team there, but they don't have the best kill potential unless Jax gets caught up in a Dark Binding.
Another thing that would go in Rain's favour with regards to putting the 2v1 situation in is Nocturne is surprisingly good in that 3v1 situation.
Yes.
So Duskbringer again pushes the wave very quickly. You've got a spell shield so you can remove any crowd control like a rune prison that's going to come down, and from there you can fear tether, and as long as you're within close enough radius and get out, it's kind of, his whole kit is actually pretty good for diving that area because
even with and then
he's got to get to the point where he's level 6 to actually gank properly, but actually coming into a 2v1 lane is far easier.
And to be honest, Kha'Zix is very similar, has that ability to burst down someone in the turret, and has a fairly good high base auto attack damage, so can get a good tower push on as well. It'll be really interesting because both of these teams are very high level players, so all of them will be very well versed in sort of in difference in tactics. So again, we'll see what happens out here. Rise taking that TP, and Jax following up with a TP of his own.
Now, I've not seen many Orianna Xerath lanes. I have a feeling it'll be very similar to the Xerath Lux lane, where both are just going to farm.
But I think Orianna will have more of a poke potential because her mana ability costs aren't that high, and she can get the command attack and command dissonance down pretty quickly. Onto a very fairly, like you said, you have a gripe with Xerath that he is very immobile. That means Orianna's just going to have an easier time getting a good command dissonance off as well. So again, I do think Xerath is going to struggle in this lane, and also Orianna has the shield on herself, so even if she gets caught out by an ultimate from Xerath, can just shield a fair amount of the damage too.
Yeah, indeed. That's always a nice utility to have there. But it looks like we are into the loading screen here, guys. So we'll be into game 1 of this best of 3 series between Rain and I always want to say Eternity. It's eNigma.
eNigma, yes.
Eternities don't even exist as a team anymore, and I've just casted them for like 6 months. Every time I go to say eNigma, I just want to say Eternity. I do think the rotations that can come out from
Rain's team will be very quick and you know, very solid. I think if you have Jax rotating with a Nocturne to mid lane and things like that, I think they can pull off better rotations, as well as Thresh being able to catch out solo laners who don't have a Morgana there to help them. So it'll be interesting to see how the rotations work, because Rain were so on point with their rotations last game, but they did put Infuse into a situation where they were behind, so Rain were rotating from ahead. If they go even, will Rain's rotations work out the same way?
Yeah, that's the question. I feel like Rain's rotations were kind of gifted to them in certain circumstances, with the fact that Infuse just didn't take the dragon. They decided to go for the defensive play, and really I don't know whether that's exactly what they should have been looking to do. So Rain were kind of gifted the early game, and they had a late game comp, so it's one of those things that we'll see whether that goes the same way again, and depends on whether Rain really emphasize this lane swap. They may do. We still aren't into the game yet, so it's yet to be seen, but we are about done on the loading screen, just waiting for a couple.
I do think Nutri does like to put his opposite numbers in positions that they don't feel comfortable. He's sort of a good shot caller of a team. He does know his tactics inside out, and I think he likes to put opposing junglers in situations that they don't feel comfortable. He put Lanky Dan in the situation that he didn't feel comfortable in by the lane swapping and then invading his blue as well. And Lanky Dan then just struggled from that start position. So I want to see if Nutri does the same sort of thing. Playing mind games is such a big part of League of Legends, and I think Nutri's very good at it.
He is indeed. Now we are on to the Rift for game 1 here. Best of 3 series between Rain and eNigma. eNigma starting on the blue side, Rain starting on the red. This could go either way. This is going to be a close game here.
Does look like eNigma are gearing up for an invade, and it does look like Rain are following suit and going for the same position. Mancastle is already there. Is he going to get the Rune Prison onto Nutri? Everyone is there to follow up. Rain face checks. Nutri's going to get a ton of damage in the face, but a good flash. Oh no, First Blood goes down to Rise with the overload. Looks like a great counter strikes in the commando, so it's 1 for 1 so far. First Blood having gone over to eNigma though, so the gold is lying there. Looks like Digger is going to get caught out by a Dark Binding. This is a big level 1 team fight. Warrior is in the background. He's going to have counter strike available soon. He gets a kill there. This may not be worth for eNigma. And they chased a little bit too far, and unfortunately 2 kills onto Jax. Redbury goes up against, a good death sentence. I don't think he's going to follow that up though.
Yeah, it doesn't have Flay, he's only level 1, so just the hook on that. Warrior picking up 2 kills in that, and the junglers are actually going to get back to position so that they can get their buffs. It was such an early team fight compared to normal that's not going to have too much of an effect on the actual jungle pathing, but 2 kills on Jax on that top lane. That means he's going back only with an extra 360 gold, so he's only going to be a longsword.
But the experience he's going to gain from that now, going into that top lane, and the lane swap has been initiated by both teams. So this is just going to be a counter lane swap, and we're going to have a standard upside down meta going on here.
Now this actually kind of will work in favor of eNigma, because what it's going to do is...
Oh, there's a late invade coming out onto Nutri's red buff here. Blackjack is going to see them coming. Nutri is going to back off, and a good ward comes down. Not enough to cover the red buff though. Gilgamesh is going to try and force it. Are we going to have a team fight here? A good play onto Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh takes a good amount of damage. Rain Nutri is very healthy right now. Digger is there to follow them up. The shield coming down. Nutri is probably going to pick up the kill if he can get a Dustbringer down. Can't get it down in time. And actually, you said it worked out for eNigma. I think this one went over to Rain.
Yeah, that one's going to work out for Rain. I was going to allude to the dragon control that a Kha'Zix is going to have around that area where he actually hook in the top.
Yeah, good hook in the top. Comes down onto Snitch, but Snitch gets away with it. Although a piercing light and a double auto attack will take him down to a good amount of HP. Yeah, as you were saying about the dragon control.
Yeah, dragon control with Kha'Zix. So once he's got the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, he'll be looking to solo dragon at any kind of opportunity that he can. Just a potion, and really that isolation damage should be enough. So at that point, having both dual lanes in the top and both top laners with teleport in the bottom actually gives them a lot more control by the fact that their jungler is just so much better at doing dragon than a Nocturne is, and then from that point Nocturne has to be within paranoia range and then have to have smite available. So this is one of those things that they might have the better dragon control if these lane swaps stay as they are.
Even though Warrior went 2-0, Mancastle is actually bullying him out of lane, having the level advantage too. And that's just how Rise does against Jax early on. Jax is very weak in those early levels, and Rise actually has a fairly powerful early game, just quite squishy, doesn't have the health or resistance to the tank as well. It does look like Tamalos is farming quite well in the mid lane, getting a good amount of damage on Digger too. However, has very little mana, but as a Xerath, doesn't matter so much.
Importantly in that bottom lane as well, as Nocturne is heading in, the tier was bought very early, but Mancastle's playing very aggressive, and Warrior's kind of just baiting him forward. Nutri in from the backside. Can they get that fear tether?
Yeah, they're going to go for it. Dustbringer hits, he's going to land onto it. Fear is going to get flashed out of at the last minute. Great flash by Mancastle. His timing on that was exquisite.
Yeah, that's what they needed. They burned the flash there on Rise. It should mean Mancastle should play not quite so aggressive in that lane. They need him. In actually Mancastle, I feel would probably prefer to freeze at this point after heading back up from shoving that wave. He's already got the tier, so that's stacking up from a very early point in this game, which will help Rise speed up his build. But it's one of those things that he's slightly ahead, he's got the tier advantage, but Jax again is going to reach a point in the game where he'll become potent against every other member of eNigma.
Rise is doing extremely well, and you realise he does have that early game power cheap tier is to complete. Doesn't look like there is going to be engaged. Gilgamesh getting caught out by Digger, but then the stun comes down, and a good death sentence very narrowly missed there by Talamos.
Oh man, that would have been a brilliant hook. They had the Lantern coming in there as well from the roam out of Slight, but wasn't quite able to catch onto it. Gilgamesh is going to have to start thinking twice about going so aggressive, because Reyna reading quite well here. Every invade, Digger's taking pretty low in that middle lane, but Talamos, that's just the range of Xerath here that it's kind of difficult to sit in a position where you can farm behind the minions, because that's where he wants to aim everything.
Yeah, and in that top lane we do have Snitch getting fairly easy on. Slight is going to get picked off by a Black Binding. Blackjack actually just manages to hook a minion out of there. Nothing too bad coming from that though, and they're going to get a bit more just as they need to, as they are currently a level behind. Both of them hitting it at the same time. Warrior taking a lot of damage under tower. That overload from Rise doing a lot of work. Rune Prison comes down as he activated the Counter-Strike. Unfortunately, his cards was shown a little bit too soon there.
Yeah, Warrior's going to struggle to get into this in the bottom lane. Even though he's got those 2 kills, you can just see the range that Rise has here. Every time Jax wants to go aggressive, unless you're giving him an easy leap strike into Counter-Strike, it just is so difficult for Jax to get on top of Rise that really you just have to concentrate on farming without taking too much damage. Teleport has been used in that bottom lane, of course. That is on the turret. We talked about it earlier. It's not too much of a cooldown now on teleporting into the turret.
Warrior's actually winning in CS right now. Got a 10 CS advantage almost.
Yeah.
So he's doing a good job. I mean, Rise has got a minion wave coming towards him. So.
It's because Rise has gone back twice, and they were even right up until he backed it. So the TP into lane, Jax will head back. That CS gap will even out once again.
He's also got the 600 gold required to finish off his Bulldozer Cutlass. So. Yeah. Jax will have a bit of a power spike now, maybe able to sustain up against the Rise's damage. Both of them nearing level 6, in fact they are both level 6 now, which is where Jax will start to do some real damage, and Rise will be struggling to 1v1 it, because Rise won't have the burst potential right now to deal with an ultimated, well, a Jax with his ultimate on rather.
The one lane that really, you look at eNigma, that I kind of feel like maybe they shouldn't be winning so much, is this middle lane. There's a 14 CS difference, plus that kill from the early level 1 engagement. And that puts Xerath a significant distance ahead here of Orianna in lane, and he's landing a lot of good harass during the laning phase as well. It's just making it difficult for Digger to even come forward and pick up the last hits here. And Orianna typically is a very easy farmer, and well, I'm just a little surprised.
He's actually using his Eye of Destruction really well.
Yeah.
So Eye of Destruction's got a fairly good AP ratio. Even at level 1 it will do a lot of damage. He's using it to force Orianna to use her shield on herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have a ball to farm, so she's losing a bit of CS. And over time that's accumulated to the CS difference that you see. We saw Talamos on Xerath last time, where we saw Multiplay, and he was very, very good. And you often find that people who main Xerath tend to be very good with Xerath at high level, because he is a very niche champion.
Yeah, the problem there is when you see that he's trying to play different playstyles. I wonder whether Talamos has that in his arsenal, that he can play different styles, because it's a limited style. It's a very reactionary style. You're not playing as the active member of the team to make plays. You're merely looking to siege, and then when people jump in towards you, you react, lay down damage. However, Kha'Zix is an active jungler, and that's what we're seeing him do here. He's pushed up into the top lane. Not quite level 6, so doesn't have Void Assault, but they're looking to catch out Blackjack and Slight here as they push forward.
And Nutri's not making the same mistake that Lanky Dan did last game. He's decided that he wants to go for that Wriggles into Feral Flare very quickly, because he's already built up a lot of farm. He's got quite a few stacks on it, so he's going to be hitting that fairly soon. Gilgamesh is biding his time in this top lane. He's been here for quite a while, and that's a very good point. And he's hit level 6 right now, so he's got the Void Assault. He's already evolved the active camouflage. This will be a very intense gank when it comes down to it, and Slight and Blackjack have absolutely no idea.
Slight is actually left on his own. Here's the isolation point, and Slight,
After all of that, a very big waste of time. Gilgamesh is going to get a bit of damage. Noadon coming in, but Slight is going to escape with his life. Blackjack now put the box down to sort of ward them off. That's 4-man committed to the top lane. They're going to have to take this top lane tower, and Orianna's going to get a good amount of damage on the mid lane to make it worth it.
Yeah, however, I wonder what Nutri's going to do here, because they're rotating out. The ping has gone down, and Dragon for top lane.
Oh, a great Blackjack hook coming out there. Gilgamesh is going to get down, because the heal comes down from Slight. That's going to be so worth it. Blackjack actually picks up the kill there. He's going to go down to, I would suggest, Snitch. Yeah, Snitch is going to take the kill there. And to be honest, a kill, trade, a dragon, and then possibly top tower going down is completely worth it to make.
Yeah, and they're not actually going to get the top tower yet. Snitch is pretty low. Yeah, they will get it with this new minion wave. I was wondering whether they wanted to back away from it, but it's top lane tower for Dragon, a kill for either side, but there's been a lot of free farm being given over here as well. Digger picked up some farm. He's now closed the gap between himself and Zera, and this is just going to continue to happen. If Rain are just focusing on Dragon control like they have been doing for the last 2 games that we've seen them, that's a point of contention that a lot of these teams just aren't focusing on, and it will start winning Rain games.
Yeah, and Nutri is really doing a good job of just controlling that jungle. He's got a 15 CS lead on Kha'Zix right now. And still has the same kill participation even, so they've still got 1 assist each. And I really do like Nutri's style of jungling. He knows when to play what style, and he's very versed at both styles.
Yeah, at this point he is playing that counter style pretty much. That's why he didn't really need to do too much other than go towards the dragon. He knew he'd never cross the map in time to get into paranoia range, so just take the objective that eNigma are giving away to you, because that's essentially what that top lane focus was. We talked about it earlier, that having so many people on the top side of it.
It's like Warrior getting against that mid lane. Nutri's also heading down there, the Black Shield in the top lane, just saving Thresh, getting a hook onto Snitch. There's Nutri. He is in paranoia range. Lancaster is paranoia. He's going to get a good fear down onto him. He actually managed to flash out of it, but one doesn't bring up one flash from Jax will do the job. And that's a kill going over to Warrior, who is now 3-0.
Yeah, Warrior picks up a good kill there. That really is just a well-worked kill. And actually, eNigma had warded for it. Right up until a couple of seconds ago, there was a ward here in this tri-bush. And they pinged Nutri as Paranoia began the animation. So it was too late, but it was a nice attempt to ward out for eNigma. But Mancastle was a little bit too far pushed out in lane again. He's not freezing it here.
Gilgamesh is going to get spotted out by a ward, so Rain are going to just back off here in that bot lane. They could have possibly done something, but he's just going to sort of turn around and go for his own red buff. Gilgamesh a little bit behind on CS, a little bit behind on levels compared to Nutri, who is now going to go and farm up more towards his feral flare. Can't quite see how many stacks he's got right now. He's got 17, 8 more, and now 7 more, so he's getting very close to that 15-minute feral flare that we have seen previously. Oh, a great ult in the mid lane. Orianna uses command shockwave and command dissonance, but the stun comes out from Zera. She's not going to get the kill there. Zera's ultimate is going to return too. Gilgamesh is going to jump in. Is he going to be able to get the kill? Flash over from Digger. He may get away with the distance to speed himself up. He will.
Oh, that unevolved leap. Of course, we talked about it earlier. No evolving leap at level 6 anymore. It's typically level 11. It's more of a bunny hop before you get the evolved leap.
You can't really cover much distance with it. So.
Yeah, so a little unfortunate that Gilgamesh couldn't pick up that kill, but Rain will breathe a sigh of relief on that one, because Orianna's done such a good job in the last couple of minutes of actually keeping herself up in check with Xerath that would have been a big kill to drop.
Yeah, so she managed to escape there, and actually really good juking. Even though Zera's ultimate isn't hard to juke, she also managed to shield herself from the void spikes, meaning that damage didn't come down like slow did. And then the command distance to get away. I really like the way that Digger's playing. He played really well last time we saw him playing really well this game too.
Yeah, definitely. And this is a little bit more of a consistent routine. I really do like Orianna as a mid lane champion. Pretty much every lane she plays in is a skill matchup. Yeah. She has no significantly weak matchups that are played in the current meta, or even, are consistent champions in their own right, and just does well against everyone, really. So it forces you into a situation of, am I mechanically better than my lane opponent? If yes, I go even or win.
Yeah.
If no, well, that's not a good thing.
She has the kind of the all-round AP mid laner kit. She's got the utility, she's got the shield, she's really very, very good. The AP ratios are only what let her down late game, as unless she's ahead, she won't be doing tons of damage. Like some mid laners, she's not an assassin mid laner. She kind of forms her way into a heavy AP support in that late game stage. But again, if you can hit a good command shockwave in the middle of a team fight, it kind of changes the entire dynamic. So again, Orianna is one of those, like you said, very skill-based mid lane champions. And if your mechanics are brilliant, you usually end up doing some good things with it.
And that's typically what you see of a lot of mid laners, or have done throughout Season 3. Not so much with the burst that we've seen from LeBlanc recently, but more consistent champions tend to be ones that, even if they're behind, they have utility. So you look at the pre-rework Gragas, who was played just about every game, was he always had the utility of his explosive cask. Orianna always has the shockwave.
One more stack on Rain Nutri's Feral Flare. It has just gone down. 25 monsters killed. It should convert in a second. As it does say 25, unleashing the Feral Flare. Yeah, there we go.
For some reason, it takes a while.
It does. It's very odd, isn't it? Yeah, once you've killed it, you've got to wait 5 seconds for it to be unleashed, per se. So yeah, there you are. The Feral Flare has been unleashed. Nutri is going to walk into Shaiwa and Snitch. Not going to get caught out though, as he uses the Dustbringer to get himself along with the shield just to give a bit of peace of mind. Dragon is up in 25 seconds though, and the bot lane from Rain have not yet got into position. Gilgamesh uses the ultimate onto Digger, but unfortunately there is Nutri to back him up. He's going to be forcing his way. That means Void Assault is not available for the Dragon, and even more importantly, Gilgamesh is going to have to back. This could be eNigma unfortunately giving up the Dragon yet again. And Gilgamesh, just poor presence of mind. He saw Nutri in that mid lane. I don't know why he went all in on Digger like that.
Well, the thing is, Digger was standing here and he used Void Assault, got the isolation damage, but there was actually a pink ward in this banana bush area, and it spotted Gilgamesh out as he turned the corner and took a lot of damage, so he thought he was fine and face checks into a pink ward, which really is kind of a surprising place to have one.
Gilgamesh is going to take the last thing. Here comes the Paranoia onto Shaiwa. He can get taken down by a great shockwave there and forced the flash out as well with the death hook. And here is Gilgamesh on the backside. He's very, very low right now, and Rain has just won this team fight. But Nutri is going to back away though. They need to be careful that they don't give up Dragon here.
I don't know whether there's too much that eNigma can do with regards to Dragon. They're split off and they're focusing 2 down to the bottom. So Rain are just going to take this middle tower instead. They've got to be careful because there's a lot of damage from Xerath and not a lot of minions, but they will land that dissonance. That's going to slow eNigma away. They're just content to trade these towers. Let's take a look at the tower health on the bottom. Yeah, that's going to be falling. So that's a little bit more Dragon presence for eNigma, but Rain are ahead, and look like they want to rotate out because they've spotted the recalls here from eNigma, and if they complete, that's a poor position to be in because now Ryze is going to be forced to use TP.
Yeah, he has got teleport available if they do choose, and then you've got to realise that Jax does have his available also. This is going to be a full-on 5v5 team fight. Jack is going to get caught out by a dark line of it. Here comes Warrior, already using Counter Strike to no effect though. Gilgamesh is going to go down to a Leap Strike, however. It's now a 3 versus 4 situation. They need to be really careful. However, Rain did walk away. No, Gilgamesh walks away with the Dragon. This is a win for eNigma right now. Warrior is just going to jump over the team.
Yeah, eNigma managing to get in there and steal the Dragon away from Rain, and that really will turn the game because not only did they steal the Dragon, they've cut Rain away from this middle lane tower, so they'll even up that tower they just lost in the middle and fall ahead in that tower advantage. They're still ever so slightly behind in gold, but really at this point in the game, 500 gold is not all that much between these two teams.
Yeah, that was a really solid play for eNigma, and actually I just think that Nutri played that slightly off. Didn't quite get into the vision that he needed to, also missed out on the smite range. A really odd death sentence coming out, probably just trying to force Telemos to stop backing. He's doing some really good harass work with that Xerath, just like we saw last game. Very, very solid with his siege potential there. And that was a great fight, and Gilgamesh actually managing to pick up a kill to heading towards that Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, that's working out well. I think Gilgamesh actually in game 1 went the Spirit of the Elder Lizard, then picked up the Brutalizer, then went Giant Spell, picked up a Negatron Cloak with Chain Vest, went GA, and then went back. So it looks like he's going Sunfire.
But I've got to keep forgetting that now Warden's Mail builds out of the Chain Vest, so it always looks like they're building Sunfire, but you could build Randuin also, just slightly more expensive.
Exactly. So, I mean, after you've casted for so long with an item being made out of 2 specific items, you're thinking, oh, okay, that's what he's going for. No, it's completely different. Gilgamesh is, you know, one to change his builds up. That caught me off guard in the first game.
We do have Rain Nutri picking up the Yumumo's Ghost Blades.
Yes.
He's going that full DPS YOLO. I'm going to get as much move speed after my ultimate and try and chase you down Nocturne. So, again, I do like that style of Nocturne. You can kind of assassinate one champion fairly easily on the other side of the team. But he won't survive that long in team fights. But they do have Jax with his ultimate to sort of provide a team as well. And Thresh actually picking up that Negatron Cloak with the game, possibly heading towards the Spirit Massage, but also actually too. So.
I mean, Yumu's is going to do a really good job of synergizing with Feral Flare. it just means he's going to get the extra attack speed, extra damage down from that Feral Flare. As soon as he gets in, Nutri pretty much has 2 jobs. His first job, paranoia the backline. Second job, carry the ball in. And from there, any more damage that he can do is just a luxury. He'll land that first auto attack with the passive AoE damage, get that bit of lifesteal back from it. And from there, any fears he can get down, any damage he can get down, as just buying time for Jax to get into the backline as well. And from there, Orianna and Thresh will aid Lucian in staying alive in this fight.
Yeah, so right now, both teams very, very even. Gilgamesh staying in this top lane, hoping that Lucian is going to show his face. Again, he's a very patient jungle, Gilgamesh. He will wait around for the gank if he has to. However, no one taking the bait, and he's also going to be sticking around there for maybe a little bit too long. I'm going to start backing off now. So right now, like we were saying, very even between the two teams. This next couple of fights are going to be really deciding as we head towards this mid-game phase.
We're seeing Talamos with a distinctly... well, I want to say different build, because I would like to think that needlessly large rod is going to head towards Rabadon's, but I have a feeling that's going to go towards the Zhonya's that we saw him build before, which he also built a Liandry's Torment. I wonder whether we'll go the same, but Reyna rotating down to the bottom lane. There's not a lot of minions here, and they could be caught out. One Dark Binding could do it.
Lands on the Jax, the back line right there. Probably not the target he was looking for. Too far away for a possibility from Shaiwa. The damage coming out from Dissonance right now is pretty good. They catch Talamos in the Paranoia and the Death Sentence. He's going to get possibly taken down. The Black Shield actually saving his life. Gilgamesh in the middle of the Rain team right there. The collateral damage doing a bit of damage. Warrior uses a very odd counter-strike, not actually taking away any damage from anything really. Catching Digger in a very last-minute Dark Binding. Here comes the Void Spikes too, but Warrior tanks them up. They're very, very protective of each other right now, Ray. One Death Sentence doesn't manage to last on Gilgamesh. Was very, very close though, and that was just a very tentative engagement between the two teams.
The problem there was he got all the way onto Talamos, but didn't have the shield from Digger, so there was no shockwave to follow up. Had they had the shockwave there, that was an easy kill onto Talamos, and it would have snowballed through that fight, but they didn't manage to get all the way into that backline like to, and that was just because of the positioning around that corner. They couldn't quite angle it, but eNigma now turn this around and are looking to pressure this middle lane turret from Rain, and Rain still have to back off from being pretty low on health, so eNigma may be able to shove out, get some map control here with a few more wards, and maybe try and just take a little bit more of the map for themselves.
Yeah, so Rain need to start pushing out their waves, because they're being pushed in and losing a lot of map presence of it too. The wards coverage you can see is great in the red side jungle for Rain. However, they've got no control of the Baron and no wards on Dragon either, and with Dragon coming up in 30 seconds, that's going to be a big fight for both teams. Yeah,
that's going to be a huge fight. We saw last time Rain attempt the Dragon, but Gilgamesh came in and took that one away. I believe we're at 1 Dragon apiece between these two teams.
Yeah, and the gold difference is so tight at this point in the game. It's about 1,000, which that means almost diddly squat at this point. That's almost, it's a giant spell. You know, it's a giant spell across 5 members, which is what, about 50 health across each member. So,
yeah,
you know, you're not looking at a very big gold difference at this point. So both teams are very even. It's going to come down to their mechanical skill in team fights. They are going to now finally ward round and get a ward on Baron. They have seen that pink ward there. He is going to go and try and solo take it down. There's not going to be anyone to stop him, so that could be a dead pink ward.
Could be and will be a dead pink ward.
Dragon is up though, and Lucian is about to show his face top. I don't know if this is the wisest option. He's actually moving a free Dragon over to eNigma, and they are reacting to it. Nutri is down there. He is going to possibly call on his team, but Lucian is now still farming the top lane. There is going to be an engage on Nutri. He's going to take it very low. The ultimate comes down from Zerg, doing a ton of damage. Lateral damage doing a good job. Ultimate comes out for Nutri. A great shockwave, but the Gilgamesh leap managed to get himself out of it. He has now evolved that leap. Rain not doing very well in this fight. Snitch jumping down onto Blackjack, and this is going to possibly be the Dragon going over to eNigma, not what Rain wanted, but unfortunately put the blame on the stun. That top lane while Dragon was up, and unfortunately forced Nutri into a bit of a poor position.
And unfortunately we're forced into a pause here, as we see eNigma are working down that Dragon. And to be honest though, we were talking about how good Rain were with regards to their Dragon control. We are unpaused, so it looked like it was only a small little... Wait, are they... Can we pause? Okay, so we're back in. They weren't too sure whether they could pause, as in whether they had permission to, so we got the pause back again. So...
Yeah, well, they were. Pauses come out. Could be a couple of issues on Rain's side. They did see, obviously, had a bit of a possible interference in that team fight. Maybe one of them had something off with their keyboards or mice. We should find out whether they're going to be getting going fairly soon in the next few minutes.
Yeah, it's true. We might have had music on in the background.
I'm sure we were talking over it.
It's
wouldn't
okay.
worry.
For the most part, up until the pause, I hadn't realised.
No, nor had I either. So
something tells me I think that might have been even like Eminem.
Possibly,
it was
yeah.
pretty quiet.
It was very quiet, but I could hear the distinct sound of Eminem in the background. I have to check which playlist is running now. I think it's running to something possibly not quite appropriate.
Oh dear.
Anyway, Talia.
Wow.
Oh right, so
Okay.
it was a quick toilet break.
Pit stop here. We're just gonna. Oh dear, teams, come on, guys.
Anyway.
You're only 23 minutes.
Shall we have a look at what's happened across this game so far then? At the moment we've seen Rain get outplayed in the last two Dragon fights, just from either poor positioning or from just map control not being there. Yeah, so but they're still ahead on gold.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, they are still ahead on gold. They're actually down on turrets as well. So they're now down on. Oh, a dragon hasn't been.
No, it hasn't been taken yet. So they
So-
will go behind on gold.
Yeah,
eventually.
they'll go very slightly behind. We're jumping ahead of the game here, but yeah, they'll be very, very slightly behind. Which, when you consider they're down a turret, they're down a dragon, they're down a kill, most of that, I'm looking up and down the lead. It must be on the it's on the CS between the AD carries, and then for a while Thresh actually had the relic shield too. So unfortunately we don't have the value because the relic shield is no longer on his person, but there's definitely hidden gold in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see the 13 CS on Thresh probably pointing towards the relic shield that he did have. So, considering he probably didn't upgrade it from relic shield or Targon's brace or whatever it is at the
Never
first.
do maths on stream. Don't try it. There's just gold there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just try. I mean, we've got nothing else to kill the time with. How many you get? 18 gold per melee minion.
I'm gonna let you do this. 18
gold per melee minion, but you've got the siege minions in too. So let's say that averages out at 23 gold per minion. That's probably about 260 gold there gone over, shared between both Thresh and Lucian. That's a little bit of a chunk.
It's a bit. When you consider that after this dragon they'll be about 200 gold behind, that's double what the difference would be.
Yeah. Yeah. So he has, like you rightly said, sold off that Targon's brace / relic shield and headed towards a spirit visage. So he won't have a utility item going into the game.
Yeah, it's interesting that he would sell the Targon's brace for no other support item yet and keep a potion.
Well,
I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm guessing his idea behind it is that he wanted the ruby crystal to go towards the ruby sightstone, wanted that extra health, but then the potion.
Interesting.
I mean, you know, they're useful, but at this stage in the game, really, the 20 health, 10 mana
and
immediately.
150 health
yeah.
over. It's almost nothing of his health pool. We are back into the game, though, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go. The dragon has just been taken over, and that is a 600 gold lead going over in favour of eNigma. And while that's going on, Mancastle is just going to clear out that map.
Yes, gets cleared out, but we'll see what Rain can do in response. They've been pretty good at firing back to the aggressive stance of eNigma, but eNigma just securing those dragon fights the last 2 times.
Unfortunately, Nutri not having the best of games this game now. He's a 0, 3 and 4. Hasn't had quite the impact that he did last time.
And here's the problem with that is his build is not a consistent build at all. It is essentially a solo queue build. It is, I'm going to go in the backline, do some damage, you got a shockwave on me, and then if I die, oh well.
I think what he's hoping is that he'll be a distraction, and he's basically the ball delivery system right now, and then Jax can clean up afterwards. Jax has now finished his Trinity Force, he's now heading towards that Blade of the Ruin King, sitting on 1300 gold, so he needs 500 more to finish that off. Once he hits that threshold, he's going to be really powerful, and he's 5-0 right now. 5-0 Jax is a very scary thing.
Very, very scary. Let's actually check the difference. Oh, well, when you look at it, Rise is ahead on gold, so I guess that's actually quite surprising when you look at it. He is, though, ahead on CS, has had that extra dragon, has had that extra tower, so that global gold is kind of supplementing
actually,
the difference in
when
kills.
you look at it, Rise has got a core item there. He's already stacked up his tier to full, has both a Negatron Cloak and a Blasting Wand, as well as a Glacial Shroud. He's very tanky right now, will be doing a lot of damage, and he could build an Abyssal Scepter, he could build a Frozen Heart, he even finishes Archangel Staff. Looks like Slight is going to get caught out though by a Stray Dark Binding. collateral damage misses, forces the flash out of Gilgamesh, but that long-range ultimate from Xerath picks up the kill on the Graves. Digger actually trying to farm the minions to maybe get a bit of block there. The Black Shield doesn't have anything to say for that hook right there and just stops him from jumping on and pulling him back. Yeah, unfortunately going to ward there. They were waiting for him and just caught slight out of position.
Oh, the Baron bait by eNigma. Worked to a T. They just sat in that Baron pit, knew someone would come to check, and as long as it wasn't Oriana using the ball from a long distance.
Oh, Nutri is here. They're going to try and get onto Shaiwa, but the damage does a good job of getting the Black Shield down. There comes the box. Hitting no one, though, so unfortunately was not used in their best timing right there. And they're just going to force them away from the turret, which may have been their aim.
Yeah, they're going to push him back. There wasn't too much of a danger there of that turret actually going down by eNigma. eNigma's composition isn't amazing without them all being there, and Gilgamesh, Shaiwa starting towards there already, so they can rotate out. Gilgamesh is taking quite a lot of damage, but here come Rain into the Baron.
They're going to come into the Paranoia, and then Shockwave there, and then, oh wow, the Oriana Shockwave gets the Baron. Nutri doing a ton of damage on the back lane. Mankus is going to get feared up. Here's Thresh though, he's going to try and catch on to Shaiwa. He's going to jump in as her Black Shield goes down. The teleport from Jax comes down. Oh no, they pulled a full Dignitas right there.
Oh dear, that's painful. Yeah, to be honest, that's why you don't see non-feral flare junglers going Baron at 25 minutes into the game. It's typically a little bit early just in case you've got the response. You don't have that damage. They expended the teleport for Mancastle to get up there because they were playing greedy. And to be honest, they didn't need to play the greediness. They didn't need to play that greedy. They could have waited for Mancastle to push to the inner tower in the bottom lane, distract somebody, get free farm, just bide their time.
Yeah, so they did not, like you said, Baron was not a necessity there. They didn't need to go for it. You know, that was just forcing an issue that they didn't need to force. Like we said earlier, they were not very far ahead in gold. They weren't in a position where they could go and take Baron straight up. And just because Nutri is behind doesn't mean he's not useful. He has Feral Flare stacked with, I believe, about 14 stacks right now. 17 stacks even. So he's still going to be relevant and going to be doing a lot of damage. And off the back of that, has picked up two of the core components around him.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier with regards to mid laners that are always going to be useful. In that two-part role, he's always going to be the ball delivery system once Paranoia is available. So he will have that use if nothing else. And as you say, now has some extra damage from that Feral Flare. It worked out then. Not only did the Paranoia get him into the Baron pit, it also obviously made the vision control so much better for Rain and shut out the jungler for eNigma.
Dragon is up in 1 minute and 23 seconds, so that'll be another thing for eNigma to focus on, but there is a Baron on the side of Rain right now. That was a poor smite really from Gilgamesh, unfortunately caught out by the Oriana ultimate, maybe a little bit distracted from there. But hey, Rain can still get back into it, so they've got a Xerath for that long range poke and obviously still have the Rise, so all is not lost, and they're only 3k behind, and like you said, the further this game goes, the smaller the goal difference really means as much. So 3k at this point again doesn't mean as much as it would have done earlier on in the game.
Now, Dragon, Nerlia, we were discussing that earlier. eNigma have come out ahead in 2 of the 3 exchanges. And Dragon flash into the
flash hook onto Mancastle. Spell shield used on the wrong person right there. Incoming Nocturne. A train of destruction coming straight onto Shaiwa. Gilgamesh gets cleared up and gets taken out by Jax at that last moment. Nutri doing a good job of being that death train from the darkness, and that's a 2-for-0 exchange.
2-for-0 leaves this vulnerable inhibitor tower in this middle lane. With the Baron as well, they've got the regen to siege this. Until the minion wave arrives, they'll just be regenning health, which means they're in a significantly better spot here to be looking to siege this tower. 15 seconds left on 2 members of eNigma, means they can push up onto the base.
Jax goes on to Talamos and gets a great counter strike into Shockwave. They're going to take the inhibitor turret, but it's an inhibitor off the back of that. Snitch not doing too much with his collateral damage. Have to question how useful the Graves is at this point. Because he's not getting close enough, and that's the problem, like you said about Graves. How can he get close enough to this team to get his burst off? Because he'll just get killed.
He really can't, because for him to put himself close enough leaves Nutri in a very easy position to get onto him. And from their warrior, if he can lock him down, again, just another way of keeping on top of one of the damage dealers from eNigma. And that's what Rain have been doing in this last couple of minutes.
Really, really powerful stuff from Rain right now. You're showing why that position works out so well. And the 6-0-2 Jax is absolutely destroying Face. Looks like Rain are going to secure this dragon. I don't think, sorry, eNigma are going to secure this dragon. I don't think Rain are too bothered. They're going to take that top lane turret. Zera getting a long range Pokemon from trying to hit this way, but look how quickly they shred that turret with Nutri having that attack speed from both Feral Flare and a passive on his W. So again, I think Rain will take the map control for Dragon anytime.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Is a lot of people will say, oh, but economically, Dragon, oh, it is later into the game. But Rain have now just made the inhibitor tower another target in that top lane.
And they've completely secured the blue side jungle of eNigma if they want it. There is no towers to provide security for anyone going into the blue side jungle of eNigma right now. And if Rain can get some wards in there, they'll start to secure that. And more importantly, that gives them control over the Baron pit again.
Yeah, I mean, Rain are going to do a money sweep here through the river side on top side if they go for it. 4 pink wards, easy to take out.
Easy 120 gold in the bank right there.
And, you know, that's a lot of vision that they'll get rid of. They won't check that first ward, but they should run into quite a few here. Nutri's probably going to be here for the next minute. Wards, but
unfortunately, pink wards do take a little while to take down individually. They're actually going to pick off one of the few right there. So there's still 3 pink wards giving the vision. Dragon up in 1 minute 52. If Rain can get some wards on that blue side jungle like Nutri is now doing, they'll have full control of that dragon pit and can then easily dive onto the team of eNigma if they want to, if eNigma come to contest that Baron.
Oh man, Nutri came all the way here and then all the way here and then never crossed through this bush. It's only got 2 hits left on it, so it's not like they don't know it's there. It's been hit 3 times.
Rain are now pushing down this bot lane. Unfortunately, their top lane is pushing against them, so they're not going to have the security of a top lane push to provide a bit of a distraction in this bot lane. However, they're confident in their abilities. Baron has now dropped off. He's up in 1 minute. The ultimate coming down from Zera gets a lot of damage on Digger, but he will shield up a couple of the hits. Digger is now essentially an ulti bot in that last moment. Castle is coming on. The Dark Binding hits onto Nutri. Is he going to get taken down? He gets the ultimate, jumps into the middle of the team. He's probably going to get taken down though. The Slight is on the backside. Zereth is going to pick up the kill onto Nutri. They have to be really careful because Digger is very low. Blackjack caught out in the wrong position right now. Slights does still have the ultimate available if he wants it. They are going to try and get a bit of damage down, but Tanawas gets yet another kill down onto, I believe it was Blackjack. And Slight still has his ultimate and hasn't actually used it. They have to be really careful. Here he comes out. He's going to pick up a kill onto Morgana. That's going to be a 2 for 1. Not too bad for Rain in the end right there. And actually forcing a lot of them back. And they can probably try and turn onto this turret. Digger's still very low, however.
Rain still haven't used the Orianna Shockwave either. They never had a person in a position to use the Shockwave in the middle of the eNigma lineup, and it's just the case that Nutri was split off from Digger to begin that fight, so they couldn't get the shield on him, and from there Warrior didn't commit to the fight.
Because Nutri was in a very good position for a Shockwave, but unfortunately was too far away from Digger to get that Shockwave off. But Rain came out with the objective that they came here for. They've got that bot lane turret and now have full control over everything outside of the inhibitor turrets from eNigma. So again, Baron is now going to be the next big objective, and it looks like eNigma are heading down over to it. They have got full control with the vision that Nutri failed to clear out previously, and now Nutri is heading to that top lane. He's going to pick up the golems. Obviously, being a Feral Flare jungler, picking up those epic monsters is very important.
As you just said, is back on the map. And eNigma were the ones to start it last time. Let's not forget that Rain came out with the steal on their first Baron of this game.
This is the target. The inhibitor has respawned, so they're not going to worry about a push there. They have seen that pink ward in the bush at the side. Are they going to be able to take it down? Lucien is not in position to form a team fight right now. I have to be really careful because it looks like Gilgamesh is trying to pull off the same trick he pulled off earlier, going for that catch and jump. It looks like Tanawas is going for the stun onto Blackjack. Gilgamesh is going to follow up. Incoming Doctor and ultimate straight onto Tanawas. Baron has been formed, popped even, so Tanawas is forced to use his Zhonya's hourglass. In the meantime, Blackjack is going to get taken down by Gilgamesh in the back lines. It looks like, though, he's abandoned his team, unfortunately, so Mancastle was the only one surviving. Poor play, I'd say, from Gilgamesh to abandon his team for a support right there. Didn't have the heal potential of the void strike. It looks like Mancastle is going to go down to Warrior, so he's going to get a kill again. He's 8-0-4, almost finished that round wins. This could be game if not just the inhibitor and balance.
It could be because they do have a cannon wave here, and with the Yomus nearly back available for Nutri, they could look to just push.
They're going to go for it, and a great shockwave onto Gilgamesh. He jumps and actually misses it as he tries to go over the Nexus turret. Nutri's going to pick up the ace, and this is going to be game well played by Nutri and the rest of Rain.
Rain just taking the advantage. Nobody was there to peel for Talimos as Nutri cleaned him up and came right around the back corner in that last fight. Rain, after a very close game, will take game number 1 here in this best of 3 series. So, I mean, that's only one of the potential 3 games in the books. So,
it was very, very strong display by Rain, however.
There's a lot of potential for eNigma to come back into this one, so let's not forget that there are 2 more potential games left in this series. So we'll be back with game number 2 of this series in just a couple of minutes. We'll get everybody into game, and we'll be back in a few minutes here from I-51.